Hi everybody, this is Mike from the Used Gamers, and welcome to the Deadfire. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play kind of playthrough of Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. I'm a huge fan of this series. Obviously, this is the second one in it. It's created by Obsidian Entertainment, so probably pretty familiar with some of their stuff. They did Neverwinter Nights 2, Knights of the Republic 2, Stick of the Truth. They've done tons of stuff, really great at doing RPGs, so... a while back in 2015, they launched Pillars of Eternity, which was an original one that they created, and it's very much in the same vein of Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale. It's a isometric CRPG. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you should really enjoy this. If you didn't play the first one or have no information, that's fine. Actually, the game is really great, and there's not really a huge tie-in to it to where you're going to feel lost. I will say that at the beginning, if you're going to continue watching this, there are some pretty big spoilers for the end of the first game, so just be aware of that. And you can actually, the cool thing about it is you can actually load in your save game from a previous one. You can also create your own by going through the past of the first game. It takes you through all the major choices, and you pick what you want, or they do have pre-made ones. So I'm going to actually load in a character from my previous one. So we'll start a new game. So they have several different types of difficulties. They actually added in this relaxed one for this, so it gives you a little bit of step between story and classic. I prefer just kind of classic. I don't need the huge difficulty of either of these two, especially Path of the Damned is ridiculously hard, so I just stick with the classic. This is kind of a cool thing they added where if you complete certain tasks as you're playing through, because I'm actually doing another playthrough other than this, you can pick certain bonuses to start with, like higher level, more gold, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to do it for this playthrough just because I want you guys to see the basic, but it's kind of just a cool feature. Just if you play enough and then you replay it, you can give yourself better stuff. Trial of Iron means you play through with only like one save game, so it's permadeath. Expert mode just takes away some of the options that you can do to help you see like your AoE damage, stuff like that. I leave it off because I don't need it. Level scaling I'm not going to mess with too much because in playthrough I'm doing, I haven't run into stuff where I'm just mowing over people, and if I do run into that, it might be kind of fun just to be a little bit more powerful at some point in time. So we'll do that, and we'll go ahead and get started. Now, I'm not going to need to do too much talking because the whole game is actually voiced. It was one of their stretch goals that they reached, and really cool thing is they have a deal partnership with Critical Role. So a lot of if you guys are into watching the Geek and Sundry kind of D&D stuff they do, you'll recognize a lot of the voices from that. If it's going to start. There it goes. I'm super excited to show this to you guys because I have been really loving this game, and I don't think it's gotten nearly the amount of credit that it deserves because it is an amazing game. So hopefully you guys feel the same way and do enjoy it as much as I have. But yeah, I'm going to be basically kind of creating the same character that I did for the first game. However, I am going to change some stuff. I'm actually going to multi-class in this one, so that's one of the cool new things they changed for this one. Is they did add the ability to multi-class. If it's actually going to start up, I don't know. There it goes. I just had to do a huge update on my computer, so it's probably part of the reason why it's running slow. Which was really frustrating because my whole plan was to do this today, and then, of course, I had to do this massive update, which is now totally screwing this whole thing up. There we go.
Aora, a world where mortals live, die, and are reborn through the turning of the wheel. The cycle of reincarnation watched over by the gods, and made possible through pillars of a mystical substance known as Audra. 5 years ago, you traveled from your home to the Deerwood, a nation that had waged war against the incarnated god of light, Aethys, resulting in his destruction. The country suffered from a plague of hollowborn, infants born without souls, that many believed was punishment for killing a god. In an ancient, secluded ruin, you witnessed a secret ritual that inadvertently transformed you into a Watcher. One who can see and speak with souls The ritual also gave you horrible visions. Waking nightmares of a past life that threatened your sanity. To put them to rest, you pursued the man who had led the ritual. A seemingly immortal agent of the gods, known as Theos Ix Arcanon. With divine assistance, you confronted and defeated Theos, ending your visions and resolving the Hollowborn crisis. In so doing, you also learned the great secret that Theos had protected. That the ancient empire of Anguith had transformed themselves into gods. Your visions finally put to rest, you retired to the castle of Cadnua, built atop a massive statue of pure Audra, where you ruled in relative peace and prosperity.
Whenever you end something like that, there's always got to be the until, and then really bad stuff happen. That's just always how it goes.
Made a nice story. You fixing up that old keep? Lifting the curse? Must have told it 100 times. But something got to gnawing at me. Thinking the spirits there weren't really at rest. That maybe the gods weren't finished with us. I used to dream that when my god came back, he would forgive us. Last the trouble with dreams. Sooner or later, we all have to wake up.
And so you wake to a sleepless world, the in-between of life and death. Follow your memories. You have been here before.
So yeah, this is the in-between, which is basically like purgatory.
Past the shroud. You are a watcher now, and the watcher you will stay.
And these are all scenes and things from the first game.
Sees souls, knows their pasts, and the souls see them back.
A dubious honor, inheriting a fortress both broken and cursed.
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked?
The gods aren't real, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
And did you ever consider that these were things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you?
Let the world see. Let them decide what to do.
Yeah, that was one of the big reveals at the end of the first game, was that you found out that the gods weren't really gods.
Come.
They were, mortals that had basically achieved godhood. So all these people that worshipped and committed themselves, to these gods kind of, were being fooled in a way. And that you'll get a little, also a thing in some dialogue here that will kind of talk about what happened at the end, and you'll get to kind of load up your your previous game file, and then also maybe answer some questions about what happened.
An aged dwarf shares this strange floating platform with you. His face is creased by so many wrinkles that his features lie buried amid shadowy pockets of skin. Still, the dwarf's well-practiced habits have left telltale tracks of a welcoming rictus across his visage. You can see his smile coming before it blooms, reshaping the dwarf's face from a hanging sack of flesh into something resembling an oddly carved, merry gourd, replete with unhealthy bumps and discolored splotches.
Yummy.
Sit, please. Thank you for joining us, Watcher of Cadnua.
The gaunt woman seated at the table is clad in time-worn black armor that seems too massive for her to move in. A pale, slender neck rises from the gorget, topped by a hollow face. The milky skin stretched across it is delicate and translucent, like parchment that has been scraped clean too many times. She's preoccupied with the arrangement of cards on the table between you. With each movement, her armor squeaks and groans as though bearing an incredible weight. She places a final card, gives a nod of satisfaction, and raises her eyes to meet yours.
Your brush with the divine has drained you of your powers, fractured your memories. Look upon these cards. They represent the courses of your life. You alone know best how they flowed. Arrange them to fit what you remember.
Alright, so here's where we pick kind of what happened in the first game. So what you can either do is you can pick one of these pre-made versions. So there's like the good one, the bad one, and then stuff in between. So you can kind of pick and choose from those. Or you can import a PoE 1 save. This would also be if you, at the beginning in the options screen at the main menu, you can create your own there, and that's where this would show up as well. So I'm going to play off of one of my saves from the first game.
Does everything appear to be in order? Good. Welcome to the Beyond. I am Bera. One half, anyway.
She points a finger in the direction of the dwarf who led you here. Though the movement is slight, her gauntlet squeaks like a rusty hinge.
So this is something great that Obsidian does in their games. They have these little scrollovers. I don't think they had it in the first Pillars of Eternity, but they did have it in Tyranny. So you can put your mouse over these highlighted vocab, or whatever you want to call it, and they'll give you a little synopsis of what it is. So like, Barath is the god of death, cycles, doorways, mortality, and inevitability. The keeper of the cycle of life and death. Barath is thought to seek to claim the lives of those who have lived past their time. According to folklore, Barath is seen most often in the form of the Pallid Knight or the Usher, two skeletal characters who lead such people to their deaths by way of challenge or trickery. So you can kind of get an idea of who people are. So this is, the goddess of death.
The dwarf's rictus returns as he nods in the woman's direction.
I mean, I guess they're both technically the god of death, whatever you want.
The gods offered you boons in exchange for resolving the Hollowborn crisis. What did you do with the souls?
So this was kind of what happened at the end of the first game for this character, as I chose to follow Hylia, which is another one of she's the goddess of the sky, maternity, creativity, birds, song, invention, language, and the arts. Not known to take a particular physical form, but thought to be present in birds of all kinds. So I had vowed to I pledged my allegiance to her if she helped me defeat, like, the main bad guy. And I vowed to restore the souls. That's what she wanted me to do. It's actually not what I chose to do. The main reason, to be completely honest, was that I actually took a big break from the game in between these events, so I actually had forgot what I had pledged to do, so I just picked what I thought was best for my character, which turned out to be not this. But I'm going to stick with it, because even though it made everything go really bad, like, my character had a really bad, actually, ending when they explained everything that happened. Like, everybody kind of came off really badly, so I did not do too well. But anyway, I chose to strengthen the souls of the Deerwood.
Tell me, do you remember when we last met?
Yes, in the halls of stars and twin
You came to
helms.
that tower seeking our aid. You prayed for help in reaching Theos, beyond the Court of Penitence, but would not pledge yourself to me. Still, a pledge unmade stands fairer in this court than a pledge broken.
She places a card in the middle of the arrangement. A bell tower with no bell. Her fingertips slowly drag away from the card, faintly creaking as they retreat across the table.
You had need of the gods once before. Now it seems we have need of you. The being that occupied Odnua's statue beneath your castle was the dead god, Aothus. Of this we are certain. What we do not know is what his intentions are.
So yeah, Aothus basically reincarnated himself into this giant statue that was underneath your keep, which you guys saw, emerge in that little cutscene. So he's the god of rebirth, redemption, dawn, spring, and light. Traditionally shown as a man bearing a candle and wearing a silver crown. Believed to have possessed the body of Raedsarin farmer Waidwen during the Saints' War and been destroyed along with Waidwen at the end of the war. He recently reformed his essence in the statue of Maros Nua beneath Cadnua. In the process of pulling himself from the Endless Paths, he destroyed the castle and left the Watcher, which is the main character, of Cadnua at the brink of death. So, kind of funny that, they thought he was dead, yet he is the god of rebirth, and nobody thought this would happen, but,
Though Aothus stole a large fragment of your soul, you were strong enough to survive the onslaught and enter the in-between. You and he are still connected. He has chosen a body made of living Audra, perfused with the power of thousands of souls, including yours. It should be little difficulty for an experienced Watcher to find him.
So, just kind of give you, when I tend to do this, I tend to do very kind of big roleplay-ish, and I get an idea of what my character's like, and I kind of go with that. So, the character that I created, he's very kind of anti-religion, anti-establishment. He's more just for helping like the downtrodden, the innocent, stuff like that. He's not really that big into following the will of the gods. So he's not going to be too cooperative. So why don't you just do it yourself?
Taking a physical form in Aora is fraught with peril. Most mortal minds and bodies are incapable of containing divine power. It can lead to problems, as Aothus learned not long ago.
Her armored hand gingerly places a card sideways on the table. It features a man with a burst of light instead of a head.
So I'm going to continue on kind of with his general feeling of, the gods can, just go and do it themselves. So I've had enough of dealing with the gods, all of you. Why should I care about any of this?
Did you care for the souls of the Deerwood who clung to you as they stumbled blindly through the in-between? You are a beacon to all of the lost, Watcher. Your soul gleams as brightly to them as Audra itself.
For a moment, there is a glint in the blackness of her eyes. A flash of wondrous recollection.
Those who have fallen in Aothus's wake are trapped inside him still. If you will not help them, who will? Of course, if that doesn't convince you, I can always return you to the wheel and find someone else to pursue him.
Now, of course, you might think my guy would typically be like, yeah, I don't really care, you can just do it yourself, I'm not involved. But, like I said, he's kind of very much into helping like the innocent, the downtrodden. So she kind of hit on that with all these souls that are now trapped, and all these people that are being destroyed as Aothus, wreaks havoc in his wake. So that kind of is going to get my guy a little bit more, but he's not going to be happy about it. So this actually fits pretty well. Let's get on with it.
Good.
Just short and sweet, like, I'm done with this, I'll do it, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
Before you return to Aora as my herald, you must remember who you were, the last whisper of life in death.
For a moment, the sockets of her eyes darken, leaving the pits of a death's head gazing out at you.
When you can picture your own face, the Beyond will lead you back to your own kind, to the world of mortals.
So now we come to the character creation. So the interesting thing about it is they don't really just give you your character. Obviously, there's been some changes to character creation, but it's just also kind of cool because it gives you the opportunity, if for whatever reason you wanted to change the character, you could change their sex, their race, their class, you know, whatever. I'm just gonna pretty much kind of stick to the same character, but you can kind of do whatever you want. So yeah, there's male. So I'll kind of go quickly over the character creation as I'm going through this. I won't go too in-depth. If you guys want to, I can make a more in-depth video, but there's tons of them out there. Tons of other guys like Scott Lufkin, Vextra Life, they all do really great you know, stuff that goes over the different classes and character creation, so you can always check those out as well. But I can always do one if you would like to. So these are the different races you have, and they each have sub-races as well. So Amawa are these big kind of semi-aquatic beings. You have dwarfs, which are, you know, what you would kind of expect dwarfs to be in these kind of games. Elves. Obviously, elves are elves, but these are pale elves. That's why they look a little bit different. There are wood elves that look more like traditional. These guys are kind of cool. These are the godlike. So this is the character that I'm playing through right now, is a nature godlike. I will show you the subclasses for them just because they're kind of cool looking. So there's death, there's fire, there's moon, and there's nature. And every race has different, and especially their subclasses have different kind of bonuses to them. So like, for instance, the nature godlike, whenever they get any kind of bonus that increases their might, constitution, or dexterity, like somebody casts a spell on them that increases these, it benefits to it. It gives them an increased power level. So it increases the strength and potency of their spells and abilities. So it's pretty cool. And this is actually what my main character is. He's a druid, and I took this one because, I mean, let's face it, druid, it's just kind of perfect. But anyway, yeah, they all have those little different abilities. There's the Orlans, which are kind of like your halflings. And then there's the humans. So this is what my character was. You can see that each of the classes, races, has a get bonuses to different things. So okay, so let's see. My guy was a savannah folk. It really doesn't matter with the subraces for humans. They actually all have the same thing, which is fighting spirit. So whenever they become bloodied, which is like 25% health, or near death, or no, bloodied is 50% health. Near death is 25% health. They get a bonus to accuracy and damage. So that's always pretty nice. And I'm going to multi-class. So this is probably one of the biggest changes they made, and it's really great. It's really also cool just the way they did it. You can do single class, and it's basically the difference is quality over quantity. If you do single class, you're going to unlock stronger, more powerful abilities, and you know, going to be more potent in what you're doing with that specific class. Multi-class, you're going to get more options for abilities and more points to use towards using abilities, so you kind of have a little bit more flexibility and stuff to kind of react to situations, but you're not going to be nearly as powerful in those abilities. But my main character is a single class, but I really did want to try out the multi-class, and I have a really cool idea for this one. So my original character that I made from Pillars 1 was a barbarian. So these are all the classes they have. They have barbarian, chanter, cipher. So chanters are like your bards. They like sing songs, and they gain phrases in order to cast spells. Ciphers do like mind spells. Druids, of course, your typical nature spells. Fighters, just straight up melee fighters. Can do ranged, of course, if you want. Monk is exactly what you would think it is. They run in. They actually operate off of wounds, so as they get hurt, they gain wounds, and then they use those towards using their abilities. Paladin is exactly what you think. It's a holy kind of knight with healing powers, you know, judgment powers, that kind of stuff. Priest is healer and also uses, you know, calls down the wrath of the gods on enemies, and also can buff allies. Ranger is what you would think of. It has you have an animal companion. Tends to be ranged, but you can certainly make a melee ranger, although their abilities tend to lend more to ranged fighting. Rogue is your stealthy, backstabbing, typical character, and of course wizard, launching spells, all that good stuff. These are all like skills, which we'll talk about. Probably won't really hit on this until we get to the first level up. That's where you really get to see those a little bit more, but you'll get some of these in just character creation. So anyway, I'm going to do barbarian. So there's over 55 different kind of, or over, I think it is 55. It's 55 different combinations you can make with multi-class. And on top of that, each class has, you know, subclasses as well. So you really have a ton of you know, flexibility and just replayability and all kinds of. You can make the exact character you want. You can find some really cool, interesting builds. You can preview any trees for characters you want. So, like I was saying, if I did single class barbarian, I'd have access to all of these eventually. as a multi-class, I only get down to level 7. So I am going to miss out on a lot of these stuff, which can be really cool. Especially this one down here is Prestige, so it increases your power level. Basically, it just makes you more powerful. So you can only get this if you are a single class. So for subclass, I really was kind of debating. So they have, you can either go no subclass, so no bonuses but no penalties. So you have access to everything. It's pretty basic. Berserker, you get you become a little bit tougher when you frenzy, which is one of the main abilities that barbarians have. You gain a significant hit to crit conversion on melee and carnage attacks while frenzied. So their carnage attacks is basically when barbarians hit, that causes like an AoE, so you hit multiple people with your swings because you're just swinging so wildly. When you are frenzied, you become confused, which basically means your carnage attacks, your melee attacks, your abilities can hit your allies while you are frenzied. So that's kind of probably one of the main reasons why I'm leaning against. It was between this and Mage Slayer was what I was considering, but I think I'm gonna go Mage Slayer because of this, and then also this second one where you actually take raw damage continuously while you're frenzied, which really sucks because you also can't see your health while you're frenzied. And barbarians don't really have a great way to heal themselves, which is one of the main reasons why I'm multi-classing, is because they can die pretty quickly if they really get hit a lot. And I'm not going to be wearing a ton of really heavy armor because I want to be able to move quickly. So I'm leaning more towards Mage Slayer. Corpse Eater probably gives you, it does actually give you a way to heal yourself by eating stuff, so you can eat other kith, which are human-like, whether it's the Maua, dwarves, elves, humans, all that stuff. Wilders, which are like trolls and fishmen and things, or beasts, which is kind of obvious. And when I was going to heal you, it grants you rage, which is what the points are that barbarians use towards their abilities, so you can do more abilities. But also, all your abilities cost an extra point of rage. I just didn't want to deal with that one. That one just seems really weird and kind of off from what I don't think my character would eat people. So this is the one I'm leaning towards. Basically, when you get melee attacks, they cause spell disruption. So could they cause any kind of wizard or any of the spellcasters basically have a chance to fail when they're casting. You also get passive spell resistance. You can't use potions or scrolls. So that's why I really want to pick another class that will help me heal, because I'm going to lose the ability to use any kind of potions or scrolls to heal myself. You also get a passive spell resistance to friendly as well as hostile spells. So basically, if your priest tries to cast a healing spell on you, it can actually fail. So that's another reason why I want a multi-class that will really be able to heal me. So we're going to go with Mage Slayer. These are your two starting abilities. You can eventually get both of these, but you just pick one to start with. I'm just going to start with Barbaric Yell. I don't really want to go crazy with Frenzy yet, just because I don't know what that's going to do, but we're going to right-click on here to see what it does. So it's an AoE attack that goes out, and it leaves enemies shaken, which is -5 Resolve, -3 power levels. So Resolve kind of affects how easy you are to be hit, so it's going to make my enemies a lot easier to hit, especially in melee, and then also is going to make their abilities weaker, which is great. And it lasts for 20 seconds, which is a pretty decent amount of time. That's a lot of combat. Sometimes will only last not much longer than that. So the one thing is it has a really great short casting time, but has a really long recovery time. So hopefully we can fix that up a little bit, maybe with some of our attributes. Alright, so let's go Barbaric Yell. So then, and this is the cool thing about multi-classing, is when you pick a second class, you actually get like a name that covers both. So it's not like in what you think of traditional D&D, where like one's your main class and then one's kind of a secondary class. They're both your main class. Doesn't matter which pick. Like I could have picked my second class first and then picked Barbarian second. Wouldn't have affected anything. So like if this is actually what I'm thinking about doing, is being a chanter. So I'd be a howler rather than being a barbarian chanter. I'd be a howler. Just like if I did a rogue, I'd be a marauder. So it's just kind of really cool how they did that. And it really makes it just both classes get to shine and do their thing. And you can kind of pick and choose where you're putting your points, of course. But it's not like you're hindered at all by multi-classing, except for, of course, you don't get those highest level abilities. So I think I'm going to go with this so I can kind of look at the chanter. So the chanter, like I said, is the bard. So what you're going to do is you have your passive abilities, which these are your phrases. So this is what a lot of these are what you're singing as you're fighting. and as you sing, these cause effects, which this is probably the one that I'm going to first take when they give me the option, because it restores health to me, and it does raw damage, which is something that enemies cannot block at all. There's no resistance to raw damage, so it's literally they take it no matter what. So it's going to be constantly healing me, constantly doing damage to the enemies, and even healing allies as well. Or I guess it should be allies as well, I believe. Maybe it is just... Oh yeah, I guess it is just the chanter. Oh well. Either way, that's all I really need it for, really, is just to heal myself. I'm going to have another healer that's going to be healing the rest of the party. They just probably won't be able to heal me that much. And then once you get a certain amount of phrases, then you can cast these, which are the invocations. So there's lots of different types. There's a lot of them that are summons, which are really great. There's also a lot of offensive ones, a lot of debuffs, a lot of buffs. So they can do a lot of really cool stuff. But the one that I really want to look for is this one, which paralyzes foes, which basically increases the amount of crits you can get. So I'm definitely going to really want to go with that one, because with the subclass I'm going to pick is I'm going to do, they have a Beckoner, which is not what I'm going to do, but basically this one's all about summons. So your summons last twice as long, or no, it's twice as many creatures. They cost less, so you can pump them out more often. And they are immune to this. Paladins have this abjuration ability where it can get rid of like summon stuff. The only thing is the summons are smaller; they're little teeny tiny things, and they have reduced health and duration, so they're not nearly as tough. So you can pump out a bunch of summons. Scald, which is what I'm probably going to do, is your offensive invocations are a lot cheaper to cast, which is what I'm pretty much only going to be doing is offensive ones. Any kind of critical hits you get have a 50% chance to grant a phrase. So if I'm constantly just critting, I'm just going to constantly be getting phrases, so I can just constantly be casting even without doing the phrase myself. Non-offensive invocations cost more to cast, but like I said, I'm going to be sticking mainly to the offensive ones. There is also Troubadour. Basically, this makes the stuff that after you do a phrase, the effect lingers for a little while. So this makes it linger a lot longer. You also gain brisk recitation, which is a modal, so you can turn it on and off. That increases the rate that phrases elapse, but removes the linger. So you can get more phrases out quicker, but you don't get the linger. So it's just something to kind of balance that out. But all your invocations are harder to cast. So you're mainly focusing on the phrases in this one and doing the actual just what you're saying. So we're going to go with Scald. Okay, so for chance, like I said, what I want to do is the Come Soft Winds of Death. For my first invocation, let's see, what is this one? Increases the slash and shock armor rating. Nah. Calls beyond the shroud. No, I don't want to summon, so that's going to cost more. Creates a thunderous explosion that stuns and shoves enemies in the area of effect. That's a possibility. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do this one. It reduces armor rating of enemies in the area of effect, so it makes them easier to hit. This one is the one that shoots out lightning, yeah. I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, now we come to abilities. So these are going to be a little bit different than what you think of with typical D&D. So a might you would traditionally think of as strength, where it's all melee damage and what you can carry. And this one, might is just straight up damage and healing. So that means if you are a priest or a druid and you're going to be casting lots of spells, you might want a lot of high might as well. You might want a really just strong character, because it just determines that. Constitution is your health and your fortitude. So you have different defenses. So fortitude is what deals with like bodily stuff, so like poisons, disease. Dexterity is your action speed and your reflex. So reflex is another defense that deals with AoEs mostly. So this is going to determine how fast you're going. It's not, this would what you would think of as a ranged, ability a lot of times, or even rogues who use smaller weapons would use this as their damage dealer, but no, it's actually just how fast you move. Perception is your accuracy, which is really important because it's how often you hit, but also how often you're going to crit, so we're probably going to put a significant amount in this. This also affects your reflex. And then there's intellect, which is great for casters, but can also be great for certain melees who have abilities that have area of effect, because it increases your area of effect. It also increases ability duration. So even something like a frenzy or a druid who shapeshifts, this would help out for them. And it increases your will, which affects mind stuff like being charmed or frightened. And then there's resolve, which is this affects your deflection, which is blocking melee attacks, and then a hostile effect duration. So this one is actually going to be to some extent my dump stat. But before I do this, what I want to do is go over actually to the next. Because when you pick where your character is from, it actually adds on a level, a thing to your traits. So like you can see, Living Lands actually gives +1 might. So I just want to know that before I do my stuff. So I'm pretty sure, I think my character was from the Living Lands, if I remember from the first one. So we're going to go with that. So that'll boost up my might. I'm actually going to drop Resolve down to 8. The reason why I'm doing that is because I shouldn't really have to deal too much with hostile effect duration because of my spell resistance. A lot of hostile effects are going to come from spells, so I should be able to avoid that. Deflection, hopefully I'm not going to be getting hit too much because I'm going to try to use engagement as much as possible to ensure that if I'm getting hit, it's only going to be by 1 or at most 2 people. And then I should be able to deal with them pretty quickly. And then Will, once again, deals with a lot of spells, so like mind-affecting stuff like from ciphers and things. So I hopefully shouldn't be having too much of a problem with that because of my innate ability as a Mage Slayer to not be affected by them. Hopefully. Alright, so I want a pretty decent intellect, so we'll just start with that. And I want a pretty decent perception, because I want to be able to crit a lot. I don't want to be super slow, but I'm going to use some stuff to increase that, so I might just pump that up a little bit. I know I'm going to want my might pretty high, because I want to deal some good damage. What do I think about that? I would almost prefer if my perception was a little bit higher. Intellect is probably fine. I don't need that huge of a linger or that huge of an area effect. I think that amount is perfectly fine. I wouldn't mind that getting up to 16. I don't want to put that any lower because I don't want to go any slower. I could put might down because if I'm going to be critting all the time, I'm not necessarily going to need the increase in damage that it's giving me. But I am hesitant to do that. What I could do is just kind of have it and go like that. That's toughy. I mean, I think I'm going to be critting enough as it is. I think I should be okay. I'm really going to want to deal a lot of damage. So we'll go with that. Okay, yeah, I said Living Lands. There we go. Okay, so this was your job. It's kind of just more of your background stuff. Let's see. Oh, you know, in the first one, there was an option for Slave, which was what I picked. And they do not have that. But anyway, when you pick this, it'll give you more of these little kind of class abilities. So Athletics is something that I'm really going to want to put a lot into. This actually gives you an ability called Second Wind, where you can recover health once per encounter. So I really want to have some points into that, because that's going to be one of the main ways I heal myself. The other thing that I might want to put some points into might be Explosives, because I might use some explosives. I'm not sure yet. Let's see. Laborer gives +2 Athletics. That's pretty nice. Mercenary. Streetwise, that actually is an ability that's more for a passive one, so that's more for scripted events and dialogue, but it does come in handy. Of course, it does give him the Athletics and Intimidate, which I probably will be using. My guy does tend to intimidate people. He's definitely not a merchant. Doesn't need that stuff. There's some explosives, but also has Metafix and a cannon, which I don't need. Drifter, no. I want something that has Athletics. Survival, Alchemy, no. I guess Laborer. He gets the 2 Athletics, which I like. The only thing I might otherwise consider is Mercenary. Yes, let's go with Mercenary. Okay. So here you pick your weapon proficiencies. So, you get to pick a weapon. Now, this doesn't mean you're stuck with using these weapons, but there certainly are huge benefits to using your proficient weapons. The one thing you get is you also get a modal ability for each of your preferred ones. So, like for this is hatchets. So if I get a hatchet, I get a modal ability where I can hook and slash wildly with your attacks, interfering with your enemy's ability to focus their aim at the cost of damage. So it decreases enemy's aim, but I'm doing less damage. So that's kind of the modals have pluses and minuses to them as well. And what I do want to do is, because this is probably what I'm going to be using most of the game, is I'm going to be dual wielding battle axes, because They have Bleeding Cut, which is nice. The axe wielder takes brutal swings to dig deeper into the target. The attacks are slower but cause bleeding wounds, which is kind of cool. But the main thing is battle axes, each weapon has an inherent kind of bonus to them. And their inherent bonus is 20% crit damage, which obviously my big thing is going to be about doing crits. So battle axe is definitely kind of cool. But I'm probably going to want a two-handed weapon just for if I deal with somebody where I need that. Let me see. A quarterstaff? No. Pike. Increased reach? No. Halberd. No, that's a poleaxe. That's the same thing. Might do Morningstar, that way I'm doing crush damage as well, something different. It's always good to have different damage types that you're dealing. Like you can see, like sword does slash or piercing, whichever one's better. Ones that do double are kind of nice because they can give you a lot of opportunities for different things. You see, Estoc just does piercing damage. So I'm going to be doing slash damage with the battle axe. So I might want to do crush damage. What is theirs? Direct your strikes toward the body, dealing less damage but lowering the target's fortitude. Interesting. Great sword. The character swings their great sword with massive force, increasing damage at the cost of accuracy. Interesting. I think I'm going to go with Morningstar. I don't necessarily like that, but I do like, I like the ability of having something that does crush damage. Probably later on I will pick another single-handed weapon, so just in case I want to use that alongside, like if I find a nice single-handed weapon that goes well with me, but it's not a battle axe, I can use that, but for right now, I'm going to stick with that. Okay, I'm probably not going to be doing any ranged, so I'm not going to bother looking up there. Alright, now we come to character creation. So these are all your portraits that you have. They've added definitely a good decent number of new ones for the second game. So this is the one that I used for the first game. Looked very kind of Viking-ish, so I like that. It was kind of a cool look. Let's see, colors. What colors do I want his clothes to be? Zoom out a little bit. We'll give him like a blue shirt. Darker blue, yeah. Let's do like... Sure, that works. Skin, let's see, we'll make him a little paler. His character definitely that looks like about him. Let's go ahead and get this done. I think this is a really scarred up looking one. Yeah, that one looks all tough and badass. Okay, and then you got plenty of hair options to choose from as well as facial hair. Let's see, his is kind of like a mohawk with a braid in the back. Kind of like that. No, that's a little bit too much. It just depends on how long I want the braid. Oh, that's too much. We'll go with that. And for beard, let's see, he's got a full beard. They're a little too, like, kind of bushy and nasty looking. Kind of like that, just looks cleaner. We'll say he shaved. He shaved. After the picture was taken. Okay, now we'll go back to colors. We'll figure out the hair. Something like that-ish. Looks pretty close, right? Yeah, there we go. That works. We did head. You can pick voices, which they have kind of the basic ones. This was what I was talking about earlier, where they did the deal with Critical Role. So not only can you can pick the voices of the characters from the Vox Machina D&D kind of party, but you can also, I think, where was it? Oh, wait, portraits. You can find their portraits as well. If I can find one of them. Where are they? I swear they were in here. Oh, there. Like you can see Grog. So if you watch any of that stuff, which I would suggest, it's pretty cool. It's a bunch of voice actors who do stuff in like video games and animated movies and stuff, and they do D&D. So Matt Mercer is the game master. So if any of you guys heard of him, he's kind of the master of all voices. They do a really cool job. So it's just a lot of fun. But anyway, voices. So yeah.
Out of my way! Time to fist the wound.
Let me show you what I can do.
Let's get started.
So.
Let's go. Steady does it.
My guys, I tend to pick a lot of stoic stuff with him, so I'll probably do that as well for this. You can also pick their stances. You can go like heroic, chest all puffed out, hunched, looking all like kind of evil, roguish, a little cocky, sassy. Sassy barbarian, fits right. Stoic, which is probably what we're gonna do. Yeah, arms crossed, just always looking pissed. And sullen, and kind of depressed. We're gonna go with stoic. He's always looking a little, Alright, name, we'll stick with the same name, too, as the first game. Alright, and this just gives you a rundown. So, you know, I'm a howler, so a barbarian chanter. I use rage and I use spirits as my currency in order to cast my abilities. Human, savannah folk, living lands, mercenary. These are my accuracy with my main and offhand, which is probably because I'm unarmed, which is probably why it's so low. My deflection's 15, which is pretty pitiful, but I don't have any armor on, so we'll see if we can fix that. Fortitude 45, not too bad. Reflex 32, it's okay. My will's pretty low, but like I said, I'm not hopefully going to need that. Same with reflex. Hopefully I should be able to avoid most spells. Fortitude is something that I might run into, but that's pretty high, so that's good. There's all my stats. These are all the things I picked, so yeah, even my kind of passive stuff. Oh, and here's skills. So you have active skills, which are things that you actually use in combat and while you're playing. So alchemy affects like potions and things that you use. Arcana affects your ability to be able to use scrolls. Athletics gives you that second wind. Explosives use explosives. Mechanics is traps and locks. And these will come up sometimes in scripted events and even dialogue as well. But sleight of hand, of course, pickpocketing. Where did I get sleight of hand from? Chanter. Oh, I didn't know chanters get sleight of hand. Okay. And then stealth is walk around stealthily. Bluff is tricking people. Diplomacy. These are more your passive skills. So these will just be used in dialogue and in scripted events. So, and certain ones will affect. There are certain abilities and armor and weapons that are affected by these. So sometimes it's a good idea to pay attention to those.
Go forth now, Watcher, as my herald. Know that I do not give you this title lightly. When the time comes, you will have the power to reveal the souls that cling to you, to open the gateway from the in-between to the waking world. Find Aethys. Learn his plans. When I have cause to talk to you, I will summon you.
With a quick gesture of her hand, you feel a sharp pain in what would be your chest. The pain continues, intruding deeper into your soul. Looking down, you see a small lump of darkness roiling within you. The darkness lingers there, but the pain abates and fades entirely within the span of a few seconds.
A chime. Do not fear, Herald. It will not harm you unless you choose to cross me. I trust it will not come to that.
Her gauntleted hand gestures to the dwarf, hovering nearby.
Gods always have to have a backup plan. Can't ever trust them.
The dwarf nods, contorts his face with his odd smile, and gestures to a new door.
And also, I didn't mention it during the character creation, but yeah, the character models, they really improved for this game. I mean, just the game looks amazing in general, especially compared to the first one, but the character models were a huge improvement, just the way the people look, just even on the map, but then especially when you're looking in like the inventory screen and stuff.
The return to your body feels like waking after a fitful drunken sleep. The rocking of the ship sends pain jolting through your limbs. Crashing waves hammer inside your skull.
I love it how he just woke up from basically being dead and he's already looking stoic and just pissed off. Like, stupid gods and all their errands.
Adair
Just drives me
watches
crazy.
over your body with a glazed look, taking long, even tokes from his pipe. At the first movement of your chest, he starts. His gasp, mid-puff, sends him coughing and straining for breath.
So, and it says this is a result of your choices made in Pillars of Eternity. I think it's just the fact that Adair is the one watching. He's a party member from the first game, so I think the fact that he made it through the first game and that you used him is the reason why he's here. I never understood why they put that this... Anytime you see this symbol, it means it was a result of choices you made in Pillars of Eternity 1.
No, there's no way. You're awake. What are you doing awake? How are you feeling?
So I think the who are you can do just to kind of hear, like, get a backstory on him.
Alive's a big improvement.
I hate to cast a pall over your recovery, but I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
So this is the steward. The castle that you had in the first game had this statue that had like a person inside of it, like a soul trapped. So I guess you brought her head along, which is kind of weird, but you know, whatever. I guess they just wanted to include her. But
The voice echoes from inside the bust. The remains of the steward of Cad Nua.
Cad Nua has been destroyed. Aethys possessed the statue of Maros Nua and rose from the ground, consuming the souls of all nearby. It is only by the exceptional strength of your soul that you survived. And even then, just barely. The further Aethys withdrew, the weaker you became. We chartered this ship and followed him to the Deadfire archipelago. I know not how, but it seems he has retained a piece of your soul, and proximity to it has brought you back.
I know.
How could you know all that? You've been faking on us.
He poked...
No. He pokes us in the shoulder.
Misfortune's brewing topside. Wait. Migrants fires the captain stirs.
An older man with ale-sour breath rubs his bloodshot eyes and stares at you.
Engrim, the smell of drink on your breath could wake the very dead. Now what's this about?
Pirates. They're demanding parley with you, Captain.
I know this is asking a lot, but you better arm yourself and get on deck. Should be some gear in there.
He indicates a nearby wardrobe.
Alright, let's see. Where is the wardrobe? Oh, there it is. It's not lighting up. Usually when you press tab, it'll light up things you can interact with. For some reason, it's not. Okay, so yeah, it usually gives you any of the weapons that you chose as your proficiencies. So I will go ahead and put all that into
now
me.
make some use of it.
Alright. I don't need any of that. Go away. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and mail armor. I'm going to go ahead and put that on because I'm going to be in some melee. So I'm going to want just stick to kind of medium armor, similar to that. This I'll throw into the stash. The nice thing about their stash is it's literally infinite and you can access it at any time. So you just bring along like a infinite bag of holding, if you want to think of it that way. So I'm going to take this, put it up here. That'll be my primary weapon, and you get 2 weapon slots. You can unlock more through different classes and abilities, so you can kind of switch and move around between different stuff, but I'm going to stick just with the battle axe right now, and then I have the Morning Star there as a backup.
The pirates of Deadfire are notorious. I suggest you deal with them quickly.
Alright, so we'll take a quick look at this before, probably going to have to end the video here, but so this shows you what weapon you have, and you can switch between the different ones. These are for your quick slot items in your inventory. So I'll go back there really quick. So here is your quick items. So these are things you can actually use in combat. Anything you have in here you cannot use in combat. They have to be in these quick slots. And then that's where you would access those. These are all my barbarian abilities that I have. So I have 3 rage right now to use. Only 1 ability, which costs 1 rage. Here, I'll pause that so he'll shut up. And then these are my Chanter abilities. I have 0 right now because I haven't done any phrases. So in order to cast this, I need actually 2 phrases. Oh, is that not an offensive? It is an offensive. So why does it cost 2? That's weird. Okay, anyway. This is just an ability you have as being the Watcher. So you get these big special abilities that can only be used like once per rest or something like that. And then here are my chants, so I can edit them and create new ones. So right now my only chant, go away. is this one that I picked, which does the damage and heals me. So I will go ahead and activate that, so that way whenever in combat, it's going to start. And so you can see the AoE on that is going to be pretty nice. So anybody who's in that circle is going to be receiving damage. And then this is that second wind ability. So right now I have 35.4 health, so that's a mixture of my might and then also my athletics ability. So this ability requires athletics and recovers health based on the user's athletic skill. Yeah. And then this is the modal ability for my battle axe, which will change if I like moved over Morningstar. Then the Morningstar would show up here. So that's really it for right now. That's going to be the end of the first video. Hopefully you guys will tune in next time. I'll get more into like the combat and the actual like storyline and gameplay of it. Hope you guys enjoyed it so far. Hope you are interested. I would highly suggest this game. I know that I have heard reports of a lot of bugs and a lot of things that need fixing, but I know I've also heard that the Obsidian team is well aware of all of it, and it's already working to try to get a lot of it repaired. And even then, it's still a really, really great game. So feel free to stick around, check out the next video. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. Leave any comments below if you have anything you want to see, like any videos on certain classes or character creation or whatever. Of course, also, if you like the video, of course, like it, and then also subscribe. We're hopefully going to be putting more videos up here. Also, go check out our podcast, The Used Gamers. You can find us on iTunes and Podcast Republic and a lot of other of those different podcast apps. So be sure to check that out, listen to it. Actually, in our last episode that just happened, I did a review of Pillars of Eternity 2, so if you want to hear that, feel free. We also talked about Warmind from Destiny and the Dark Souls test. So we tend to do a lot of different games. So feel free to check that out, see what we have, see if you like it, and be sure also to come back later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys soon.